Those are conditions of approval from public sanitary sewer review and planning, respectively.
And Ms. Delgado, do you agree with those conditions?
Yes, we do. We actually had street trees planted almost 3.5, 4 years ago. 2 of them have died. We've been on the replant list for about 2 years. I've spoken with Chad at the forestry division. We do currently have a call in to the city to request a new ticket, and they have come back out, remarked our curb. They will be replanting 2 of the 3 that died. So we have 1 currently, but they are replanting the 2. They said we're on for spring of this year.
Okay. And then what about the shed?
The shed, we have agreed once the fence gets approved to move it forward off the sanitary line, and we will be in discussion about exactly how far forward they need that shed moved.
Okay. Okay. Do you have anything else to add to this application?
I do not.
Okay. Is there anybody here that wishes to speak about this application? Please take yourself off of mute. State your name for the record. Okay, I will note for the record that we did receive a ton of letters in support of this fence. I just want to acknowledge that the board members did receive and review that. Does the board members have any questions?
Yeah, Phil, didn't we see the lot to the north of this recently that had the same issue?
Yes.
What did we resolve with them? Was this the same resolution? Basically, we approved it, but added the street trees.
That's correct.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right, perfect.
Good memory, Mr. Maleka.
My parents' neighborhood, so I sort of.
Okay, that was a good one. Okay, so are we ready to call the question?
I'll call the question.
Question's been called. Please call the roll.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah.
Mr. DeMora?
Yes.
Mr. Maleka?
Yes.
Chair Palmer Bailey?
Yes, variance is granted. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, case number 35248 Windflower Court. Will the applicant take yourself off of mute and state your name for the record?
Hello, I'm Daniel McFarland.
Okay, Mr. McFarland, can you raise your right hand? You promise the testimony you give tonight will be the truth, nothing but the truth. Please say I do.
I do.
Okay, we'll hear from the city and then we'll come back to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 5248 Windflower Court is located at the northwest corner of Windflower Court and Windflower Road, served by the Far West Side Area Commission, zoned suburban residential. The quarter-acre site is developed with a single-unit dwelling. A shed was constructed within the building setback along Windflower Road sometime between 2009 and 10, and a violation notice was issued in August 2020. Immediate surrounding uses are all single-unit dwellings. The applicant proposes to legitimize the location of the shed. The variance is to allow the shed to be located within the building setback along Windflower Road. The Trayview-Roberts area plan does not provide guidelines on this issue, and traffic management states that it appears that intersection site distance and site distance for adjacent driveways would not be adversely affected by the variance, and the Far West Side Area Commission recommended approval. City departments recommend approval as the intent of the zoning requirement appears to be met. The character of the neighborhood would not be altered and site distance would not be affected by the variance, and we recommend the condition that the applicant commit to this campus site plan. Madam Chair.
Okay, Mr. McFarland, do you agree that the city is in possession of the final site plan that can be stamped for the record?
Yes.
Okay, great. Do you have anything else to add about this application?
I do not.
Okay. Are there others here that wish to speak about this application? Okay, hearing nothing. Board members, do we have any questions?
I'll call
the question.
Question has been called. Please call the roll.
Mr. Demora,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yeah.
Mr. Maleka,
Yes.
Chair Palmer Bailey.
Yes, variance is granted. Good luck with the project.
Thank you.
Case number 4, 2377 East Broad Street. 2377 East Broad Street. Will the applicant please take yourself off of mute and state your name for the record?
This is Jack Reynolds. I'm the attorney for the property owner and the applicant. And I'm trying, I do not have a camera.
I do recognize your voice, Mr. Reynolds. So I can verify that that is you. Is that sufficient for the city?
Yeah, I believe it's the board members that have to be visible for a vote. So as long as Mr. Reynolds introduces himself and you recognize him, that's fine.
Okay.
I know that voice.
Okay, Mr. Reynolds, do you swear that the testimony you give will be the truth, nothing but the truth? Please state I do.
I do.
Okay, we will turn it
There
over
we-
to the city. Oh, there you go. Okay.
I
We'll-
do.
Thank you. We'll turn over to the city, then we'll come back to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is BZA 20-107. We heard this last month and it was tabled. So in your supplemental packet that was emailed to you today, you received an updated list of variances, which I'll cover in the report, as well as the updated site plan. I guess I'll get myself back on video too. The site is partially developed with a condo development just east of the city of Bexley. Surrounding uses are predominantly commercial along the Broad Street corridor and include a bank, gas station, and strip shopping centers. Single unit dwellings are situated to the south and the west. The applicant proposes to finish construction of the 20-unit condominium complex in 2 buildings containing 10 each. Is it now 19, Jack? Or is it 20?
19, there's 9 on the south and 8 on the north, so 17 total units.
17 now. The site received 2 variances in 2017, one for reduced building setback along Broad Street and Broadway Road and Chesterfield Road, and another to reduce rear yard areas behind both of the buildings. Alterations to the unbuilt units along Broad Street requires an amendment to the reduced building setback along Broad Street, further reducing the setback to 5 feet now rather than the 3 that was proposed last month. And then the variance to reduce the vision clearance that was proposed last month can be removed due to that larger setback now. Planning is supportive of the request as the building elevations and landscaping are consistent with the Columbus citywide planning policies and guidelines. Planning does not have any comment on the vision clearance triangle request, which is now moot. C2P2 states that the appropriateness of infill development should be measured in terms of height, width, setbacks, and lot coverage, and that multi-unit buildings include usable open space. Furthermore, the guidelines recommend that building materials be of high quality, including building articulation through the use of bays, balconies, cornice lines, and varying roof lines, and that the parking be located behind the building. Lastly, C2P2 recommends that landscaping and street trees be provided. The Division of Traffic Management has no comment regarding this application. The East North Civic Association recommends approval of this request, and city staff again recommend approval of the modified condominium configuration as the elevations and landscaping are consistent with C2P2 design guidelines. And we are conditioning this on a stamped site plan that you see in front of you now.
Okay, Mr. Reynolds, do you agree that this is the final site plan for the city to stamp for the record?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay, do you have anything to add to this application?
I just appreciate the opportunity to submit this application to you all, and with the opportunity to spend the 30 days looking at it, I think, again, we were able to reduce the variances by 1 to get rid of the site triangle. And as we looked at the site plan, we wanted to have a consistent encroachment into that setback along East Broad Street. And the reasoning that we made the modifications from 2017 was that the units to the south were 2-story, all of them. There were 9 of them. And what was determined during the sale period in the last 3 years was that there was a desire for more 1-story units. So the site plan you see today has 4 ranches and 4 2-stories. And so in order to try to create some additional living spaces, we dropped one of the units and again, felt it was necessary to encroach a little bit into that 15-foot setback. And so once again, we looked at the encroachment. It's not a consistent encroachment in that setback. The buildings stagger up and down the East Broad Street right-of-way. And so again, we saw that the encroachment of units 4 and 6 were at approximately 5 feet. So the desire was to remain consistent with a encroachment, so we reduced our encroachment to 5. So again, I think it's a better product. We're farther away from the right-of-way. There's landscaping that's already in existence as requested by planning, and there are street trees out there and a fence. So again, I appreciate the opportunity to represent, and again, we think it's a better product by taking the 30 days. And I can answer any questions that you all might have.
Okay, board members, do we have any questions?
Please ask if you have questions.
I do not.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak about this application? Can you take yourself off of mute?
Hi, I'd like to speak, please.
Okay, state your name for the record, please.
Jim Novak.
Okay, do you swear that the testimony you give tonight is the truth, nothing but the truth? Please state I do.
I do.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
I'm the Eastmore Civic Association president, and I just wanted to go on record to say that Mr. Reynolds and Mr. Rubin have been great to work with, and there's support from the community. All of this stuff was shared with everyone via email. We talked about it as a group, and there is some support from the community.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Anybody else?
My name is Sarah Imes, and I would like to speak.
Okay, can you swear that the testimony you give tonight is the truth, nothing but the truth? Please state I do.
I do.
Okay.
Sorry, of course, in this very moment, my battery is starting to show low.
Okay.
What I want to say is that I am a neighbor. I live about 10 doors down on Broadley, and I'm in full support, as is, I can't speak personally, but just in discussing this with my neighbors, we all feel very comfortable and confident with the product that Mr. Rubin has produced for us. Initially, when this took shape on an empty field and he wanted to do apartments, the community very much objected, and he really rose to the occasion to meet our needs and be a good steward of the neighborhood. And so I just would like to say I'm eager to see this finished. And you know, we have 3 houses on our street that are in contract right now that have gone in bidding wars. So the need for some more residential space right here in the Eastmore neighborhood is huge. So I really just wanted to say, I hope that you'll approve it and let this project continue forward.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else? Okay, seeing none. If we don't have any questions, I guess, are we ready to call the roll? Call the question?
I'll call the question.
Okay, question has been called. Please call the roll.
All right, Mr. DeMora,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Maleka,
Yes.
Chair Palmer Bailey.
Yes, variance granted. Good luck with the project.
Thank you again, folks, very much.
Okay, case number 5, 1025 West 3rd Avenue. 1025 West 3rd Avenue. Will the applicant please take yourself off of mute and state your name for the record?
Sarah.
Hi, my name is Sarah Benari.
Okay, can you raise your right hand and you testify that the testimony you give tonight will be the truth, nothing but the truth? Please state I do.
I do.
Thank you. Okay, we'll have the city present the case first, and we'll come back to you. Are you the only one that's planning on speaking?
Unless she chimes in, sorry.
Unless your helper is going to chime in? Okay, city, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
All right,
sorry.
thank you,
My
Madam.
architect will be presenting the case.
Oh, the architect. Okay, can you identify it, state your name for the record, please?
Bradley, go ahead.
Bradley Blumenscheid, Rhythm Architecture.
Daniel Fertelman, Rhythm Architecture.
Okay, can you raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you give tonight will be the truth, nothing but the truth? Please state I do.
I do.
I do.
Okay, thanks. So we'll get to the city and then we'll come back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. BZA 20-113 at 1025 West 3rd Avenue, located on the southeast corner of West 3rd Avenue and Parkway side north. This is the 5th by Northwest Area Commission in the M Manufacturing District. The site consists of a single parcel with a commercial building. Surrounding the site are commercial manufacturing uses along the 3rd corridor in the M Manufacturing District and dwellings to the south of the city of Grandview Heights. The applicant is proposing to utilize the building for a meadery with associated eating and drinking establishment. Variance are requested drive aisle, parking setback, and vision clearance requirements associated with parking spaces along the alleyway. A variance to the required number of parking spaces is needed as there is limited space for parking on site, and the required parking count is increasing due to the conversion. The variance to reduce the minimum number of additional parking spaces required is from 23 to 5. Finally, the meadery is considered a more objectionable manufacturing use. A variance is requested to reduce the separation requirement from the adjacent residential properties from 600 feet to 16 feet. Planning is supportive of the proposal as extended pedestrian facilities and bicycle parking beyond the minimum required by code are provided to mitigate the proposed parking reduction. Staff continue to encourage the provision of sidewalk segment in the West 3rd Avenue right-of-way, but will not condition support on this inclusion. Additionally, although it is considered a more objectionable, planning views the mead production facility as small enough in scale that the impacts will be comparable to existing commercial uses and therefore is in support. The Division of Traffic Management can support the revised site plan and variances as presented, noting that shared parking agreements are in place. The 5th by Northwest Area Commission recommends approval of this request. Staff can recommend approval of the conversion of the existing space into a meadery and eating and drinking establishment. The applicant has mitigated the parking reduction with improvements to bicycle and pedestrian facilities and through shared parking agreements for 46 spaces on 2 adjacent or near adjacent properties. And we recommend this be conditioned on the committed to site plan in front of you.
Okay. Are you asking that this be the stamp site plan? Is that what you said at the end?
Yeah.
Okay.
This will be the version.
Okay. Mr. Fettleman, are you in agreement that this is the final site plan that can be stamped for the record?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'll turn it over to you for anything you want to add to the application.
I think Michael covered everything. The one thing is the parking agreements. We have 2 parking agreements, one for 18, which is just direct property that is directly east of this location, and then one that is for 28 spaces, which is north and west of this location.
Phil or somebody, can you show me where those parking things are, please?
So those are the ones to the east. Can you point to that again? So that we have those 18 spaces right along the West 3rd, and then over on Holly and West 3rd, we have an agreement for 28 spaces.
And those other places are not open like in the evening time mostly, or they're just regular?
Correct. So
Okay.
our peak hours for folks to show up here are after 5.
Okay. Thank you.
What is the legal definition of a metering?
I'm sorry, go ahead, say it again.
Sarah, you want
What is the legal
We're a winery permitted federally and by the state as a wine producer. We just use honey instead of grapes.
So that's what a meadery is?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
But we don't use heating like a brewery. We don't have the same process. We're very much like a standard winery.
So, maybe this is a question for staff. The zoning doesn't change. Is that zoning required for this this process?
The M manufacturing permits the metery, but it's considered a more objectable use. And so it's required to be 6 feet from residential, but they're asking for a variance to reduce from 600 to 16. And this is done all over the city for breweries like Seventh Son and whatnot, because it's popular space for breweries to be located in residential areas or near residential areas.
I'm sorry, I just can't understand what you're saying.
So is Michael cutting out for anybody else except me?
Yeah.
I could speak to. I could speak to. All right, and Jamie, you want to take it?
Jamie can answer it.
Yeah, just to be clear, the M manufacturing district does allow for a metering or a use or a similar type use, but because it is considered an objectionable use, there is a distance separation. So that's what the variance, or one of the variance is, the distance separation from residential. Does that make sense, Mr. Jones?
So the M in and of itself doesn't require it. It's their specific use that's triggering, that's more objectionable. It's not just that it's M.
Well, the M allows for more objectionable and less objectionable. This falls in the category of more objectionable.
And I guess my concern is what's next. Like I'm just thinking, what if they leave? It's still M, and now we've reduced the parking requirements. And what else might go in there that maybe has a higher intensity of use, maybe even less objectionable? Now it sticks with the property because they're not changing the zoning. Well, that's my thought. I don't immediately have an issue with this. It's just more when they go, because ours follows the property.
Well, I mean, if you're looking for something super objectionable, like a junk and salvage yard or a recycling plant, that would need a special permit. This is just it happens to be in a manufacturing company or manufacturing industry that is allowed in the manufacturing district, but because of the nature of its use, there's a separation that has to be separated a certain distance from residential, and that's what they're asking for the variance too.
But any change, Michael, in use would bring up a review of the parking, correct?
Well, depending on what that use is. This is not, I mean, in the proposal, I don't know, will there be an eating and drinking establishment associated with this? Yes, it will. So this is an industrial use with on-site consumption, which is a pretty liberal, pretty liberal allotment of parking. So anything that would come in that would be more intense would only be like a church as far as parking.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that was going to be, and I don't think there's anything more intense that would come into here besides of eating, drinking. So I'm comfortable.
Okay. Is there anybody here that wishes to speak about this application? Please take yourself off mute and state your name for the record.
Hey, this is Wesley Trent. I live and own in the property behind the building.
Okay, Mr. Trent, can you raise your right hand and you swear the testimony gets nothing but the truth, nothing but the truth? Please state I do.
I do.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm approve of this. But I think with a little bit of caution, I guess, of turning the neighborhood kind of a little bit more quiet, just to turn up, a little bit more social area, which I think I'm good with the commerce. But I'm not sure if there's anyone else on the call here from the neighborhood. I lived in the building for like 8 years now, so I've dealt with some things happening around in the area. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Is anybody else here to speak about this application? Okay. Hearing no one else. Board members, do we have any questions? Okay. Everybody call the question?
I'll call it.
Question's been called. Please call the roll.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes.
Okay. All right. But Mr. Demora?
I'm going to vote yes, but because they have those parking things with the companies, and I know that area, and those companies are closed at 5. So on this rare occasion, I'll actually vote yes.
Okay.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Maleka?
Yes.
Chair Palmer Bailey?
Yes. Variance granted. Good luck with the project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Number 6, 357 West 7th Street. 357 West 7th Street. Will the applicant please take yourself off mute and state your name for the record?
Hi, my name's Charles Peros.
Hello, Mr. Peros. I would like to swear you in. You can raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you give tonight is the truth, nothing but the truth? Please state I do.
I do.
Very good. Thank you. We'll have the city present the case, then we'll turn it back over to you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. BZA 20-116, 357 West 7th Avenue is located on the south side of West 7th Avenue, approximately 120 feet west of Pennsylvania Avenue. It's a neighborhood known as the Circles, and it's within the University Area Commission. The site is developed with a 2-unit dwelling with 3 off-street parking spaces in the rear. The applicant proposes to construct a detached garage on the existing parking pad. It requests variances to reduce the minimum number of parking spaces from 4 to 3, which is to legitimize an existing condition, to reduce the minimum required side yard on the west from 3 feet to 2 feet, and to increase the height of a detached garage from 15 feet to 21 feet. The University District Plan recommends new construction be compatible with the existing neighborhood, as well as surrounding streetscapes. And the Division of Traffic Management states that the proposed garage will need to be set back from the alley that comprises the southern frontage of the site, that a minimum of 20 feet is provided between the face of the proposed garage and the far side of the alley right-of-way. The University Area Commission recommends approval of this request. The applicant has adjusted his site plan so that there is now 20 feet of maneuvering between the face of the garage and the right-of-way. The elevations meet the University District Plan recommendations that a new construction be compatible with the existing neighborhood and surrounding streetscapes, and therefore staff is recommending approval. The only condition we are requesting is that the applicant will commit to the stamped elevations and site plan. Madam Chair, we'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, Mr. Peros, is this the site elevation that the city has in its possessions is final?
This one is, I actually sent the final to Mr. Freese. So they wanted to note the 20-foot setback, which I did.
Okay.
So that's the only revision that I have on this.
Okay. Mr. Freeze, you'll be able to find that one then?
Yes.
Okay.
I have the one showing the 20 feet.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Peros, do you have anything else to add to this application?
No, thank you. I appreciate your consideration and
Okay.
support.
Is there anybody here that wants to speak about this application? Please take yourself off of mute and state your name for the record. Okay, seeing no one. Board members, do we have any questions?
I'll call the question.
Questions have been called. Please call the roll.
All right, Mr. Maleka,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yeah.
Mr. Demora,
Yes.
Chair Palmer Bailey.
Yes, variance is granted. Good luck with the project.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, case number 7, 2048 Wolverhampton Road. 2048 Wolverhampton Road. Will the applicant please take yourself off of mute and state your name for the record?
Hi, my name is Ryan Salisbury.
Okay, Mr. Salisbury, you're the only one that's here to speak on this case?
I believe the homeowner is on as well.
Okay, is the homeowner, can you state your name for the record, please?
This is Nabil Shahara. I'm the owner for the place.
Oh, hello, Mr. Chada. Okay, can you both raise your right hand and swear that the testimony you give tonight will be the truth, nothing but the truth? Please state, I do.
I do.
Thank you. Okay, we'll turn it over to the city, then we'll come back to you, Mr. Salisbury.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 2048 Wolverhampton Road is located at the northeast corner of Wolverhampton Road and Smoky Road, served by the Far Northwest Coalition, zoned suburban residential. The quarter-acre site is a corner lot developed with a single-unit dwelling with an attached single-car garage. The driveway access is off Wolverhampton Road, and surrounding uses are all single-unit dwellings. The applicant proposes to construct an addition to the front of the house, convert the garage to living space, and use the existing expanded driveway for required parking spaces. The variance is to reduce the parking setback from 25 feet to 0. The Northwest Plan recommends the use of high quality and durable building materials, as well as a design in which no less than 20% of the front facade is windows and doors. Finally, the addition should be of appropriate scale and proportion to be compatible with both the principal and nearby structures. And the Planning Division is in full support of the proposal based on elevations. The Far Northwest Coalition recommended approval of the request, and city departments recommend approval. The proposal is consistent with the area plan recommendations in regards to the design, and in that the addition scale is compatible with the principal and nearby structures. And we recommend the condition that we stamp the building elevation, but not the site plan, Madam Chair.
Okay, Mr. Salisbury, are you fine with this? The building elevation is the final version to be stamped for the record?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have anything else to add to this application?
I don't believe so, unless there's questions.
Okay.
Question for
Is there
Jamie.
anybody? I'm sorry, what?
I have a question for Jamie.
Okay, go ahead.
Jamie, so historically, as we looked at people parking in driveways, with a single car driveway, for example, there were prohibitions for parking, I believe, in the driveway, leaving a car in the driveway. And I don't know if by the fact that now this is going to become habitable space that goes away, or should there be another variance requested to allow for parking in that driveway?
Well, traditionally, we do the variances or the cases we were looking at are when people would pave in their side yard and have like a little bump out to the left of the garage. So that way they'd still have access to their single car garage, which you're allowed to stack. But what this request is not only to reduce the parking setback, it's basically or the reason they're eliminating or requesting the parking setback is because they're eliminating a garage. So it's two different, I mean, it's apples and oranges really. In the past, staff or zoning staff had recommended disapproval consistently, but as you know, we are kind of working together with traffic and planning to formulate a complete city staff review, and those two review agencies didn't have any issues with it, so that's why we're recommending approval.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anybody here that wishes to speak about this application?
I wish to speak.
Okay, go ahead and state your name, sir.
My name is Dan Sherwin.
Okay, Dan, can you raise your right hand? Do you promise that the testimony you give tonight will be the truth and nothing but the truth? Please state I do.
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm the neighbor across the street, and I'm just trying to get clarification as to what he's asking for. The setback, is this to be able to park in his driveway as it is? Is the driveway going to be moved closer to Smoky Row? Is this to park on Wolverhampton itself? I'm not quite understanding what he's asking for.
Can you put the map back up on the screen, Jamie?
Did you want the applicant or me to address that?
Go ahead and address it, please, Phil.
So as far as the pavement, nothing is changing about that. I don't know if you can see my cursor. The current single car garage is here in this box, and they would just be adding the addition all the way up to where the current garage stops. So it would be in line with the current setback of the garage. But they would just be parking on the pavement, and really what it's doing is you're taking the required space, which should be in the garage, and you're putting the required spaces onto the pavement, which is usually just the location for stacking, but not the actual required spaces. So really they're parking in the same locations.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, do you have any other questions, Mr. Sherman?
No, I don't.
Okay, I think there was somebody else that had their hand raised to speak.
Yeah, I was going to speak. Rob Banville, also neighbor across the street, kind of deal.
Okay.
I was kind of going to ask the same question.
Can you raise your right? Yeah. You promise that the testimony you give tonight will be the truth, nothing but the truth. Please say I do.
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
I was kind of going to ask the same question, just only for the fact that coming out of Wolverhampton is fairly dangerous little area, especially with a lot of trucks that are coming down, and whether it's a trash day or anything, it's difficult to see things. And then also at night, it's just very dark. We don't have a street lamp or anything. I'm not sure where to go after this for that. But no, as long as there's no more parking on the street than we already have, which is a fairly narrow street that has a lot of people park on the street, due to the fact that there's a lot of single car garages. When I saw this, I was like, zero setback. Oh, is anybody gonna be parking like right by the stop sign or right just east of the stop sign? And it doesn't seem like that's the case. So I was worried about safety at that corner. I don't think I am anymore.
Okay. Glad we could clear that up. Is there anybody else that wants to speak about this issue? Okay, board members, do we have any questions for the applicant?
Thank you.
Okay, if no more questions, are you ready to call the question?
Call the question.
I'll call the question.
Question's been called, please call the roll.
Mr. Jones?
So I'm going to vote no because, again, as I'm considering our past cases and looking at the risk for safety, the majority of driveways where we've approved or allowed this stacking have been at least with 2-car depth. And that would allow an additional space. This car doesn't, or this driveway, from what I can tell, allows for effectively 1 car width and 1 car length. And having a car there simply does not provide the necessary safety. I think, does this neighborhood also have sidewalks for clarification?
Phil, can you put up the site plan?
Yes, it
does.
So basically, we're talking about there's simply not enough distance between the rear of a traditional vehicle, the sidewalk, and overall to the street. So this is something that we have historically not allowed, and I don't see why we would begin this slippery slope today of allowing it. So I'm going to have to vote no for purposes of consistency and safety for the community. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Demora?
Yes.
Mr. Maleka?
Yes.
Chair Palmer Bailey?
Yes, variance is passed. Good luck with your project.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm not sure if 1219 Oak Street is still on or not.
They tabled.
That's the table, okay.
Yep.
Okay, moving to 757 City Park Avenue. 757 City Park Avenue. If the applicant can take yourself off of mute and state your name for the record.
Brenda Parker.
Okay, hello, Ms. Parker. Are you the only one here tonight to speak on this case?
I'm not sure if the owner's on or not.
Okay.
I don't see her.
I'll swear you in.
Okay.
Do you swear that the testimony you get tonight with the truth, I think with the truth, please state I do?
I do.
Okay, I'll turn it over to the city and then we'll come back to you.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. BZA 20-121, 757 City Park Avenue is located on the west side of City Park Avenue, approximately 125 feet south of East Frankfurt Street. The site is zoned a residential 2-family, and it's within the German Village Area Commission. As you can see from the slide, the site is developed with a single-unit dwelling in the German Village. The applicant proposes to construct a 2-story addition to the rear of the existing dwelling and requests variances to reduce required lot width from 50 feet to 31.3 feet, to reduce the lot area for a single-unit dwelling from 6,000 square feet to 3,144 square feet, to reduce the minimum number of required parking spaces from 2 to 0, to reduce the total side yards from 6 feet 3 inches to 5 feet 9 inches, to reduce the minimum side yard from 3 feet to 1 foot 6 inches, and to increase the total lot coverage from 50% to 54%. All of those variances are to legitimize existing conditions other than the lot area, the last one. Because there's no council adopted plan in this area, the site falls within German Village. The German Village Commission has recommended approval of this request, and the Division of Traffic Management has no comments. Staff can recommend approval as reduced side yards, lot width, and area, as well as increased lot coverage, are common in the dense historic German Village. We're not asking for any conditions. So with that, we'll turn it back over to you, Madam Chair.
Okay, Ms. Parker, do you have anything to add to this application?
No, I think that about covers it. A lot of it is existing conditions, and we're asking for a little bit more lot area. The lot area, since it includes those covered porches, that front porch kind of put us over the allowable. So we're asking for a bit of an increase.
Is there anybody here tonight to speak about this application? Okay, board members, do we have any questions? If no questions, are we ready to call the roll?
Call the question.
I'm sorry. Questions be called, please call the roll.
Mr. Maleka,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Demora,
Yes.
Mayor Palmer Bailey.
Yes, variance is granted. Gallup project.
Thank you.
Okay, case number 10, 2080 Arlingate Lane. 2080 Arlingate Lane. Will the applicant please take yourself off of mute and identify your name for the record? State your name for the record. I see
Mr.
your
Cook, you're
hand
on mute.
raised. Can you take it off of mute, Mr. Cook?
Thank you. Sorry, I couldn't find the button to do that.
That's all right. State your name for the record, please.
Ken Cook.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you give tonight is the truth, nothing but the truth? Please state I do.
I do.
Okay. We'll hear from the city first, then we'll come back to you.
Okay, BZA 20-122, 2080 Arlingate Lane is located at the northeast corner of Arlingate Lane and Gateway Boulevard. The site is zoned LM2 Limited Manufacturing District and is within the West Scioto Area Commission. As you can see, the site is an undeveloped section of a business park. Can you go to the next slide, Phil? There we go. The site is an undeveloped section of a business park. Surrounding uses include an industrial building to the north, a religious facility to the east, and offices to the south and west. The applicant proposes to construct an 8,100 square foot office and vocational training center and requests a variance to not provide a pedestrian walkway along the front of the proposed building. Section 3312.41 states that a pedestrian walkway shall be provided along the front of a commercial building that contains multiple tenants. The Tribune Roberts area plan states that pedestrian access should be provided, that parking be hidden by extensive landscaping, if not located to the rear of the side of the building, and the mature trees be preserved. Planning recommends modifications to the site plan, which include mature tree preservation and hiding parking through extensive landscaping. The Division of Traffic Management requested additional information regarding the typical operations for people coming and leaving the site. The response from the applicant was as stated. At this facility, we will have approximately 10 staff who will be driving their personal vehicles to and from the facility. Most will arrive between 7:30 and 8:15 a.m. and depart between 2:30 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. As they will be working with disabled adults, the vast majority of which are not able to drive themselves, there will be several vans, 6 to 7, at the site. 4 to 5 of these will be used to pick up a handful of individual and transport them to the site in the morning and back home in the afternoon. While there will be 6 to 7 vans, 1 to 45 in use each day, these vans will be rotated so that each one is used, but the additional 1 to 2 on hand for the occasions when 1 or 2 need to go to a shop for repairs. The transporting vans will run Monday through Friday, departing the site anywhere between 7:45 and 8:15, and returning between 9 and 9:30. In the afternoon, each of these vans will typically leave between 2:25 and 2:45 p.m. and return to the site between 3:30 and 4:30. This additional information addressed the Division of Traffic Management staff review comments for the subject application, and the Division of Traffic Management has no further comments. The West Scioto Area Commission recommends approval of this request. Staff can also recommend approval as the applicant has agreed to commit to a landscape plan, which include mature tree preservation and hiding parking through the extensive landscaping. So this, what's on the slide right here, is a great depiction of the extensive foliage. The main concern from planning is that the mature trees be preserved and the parking is hidden, which I believe Mr. Cook and I had a meeting with planning yesterday, and given the vast amount of trees, this can be accomplished. And even though there's not really a landscape plan, I think what's being shown right here, can be stamped to show that there will be an effort to preserve as many mature trees as possible. Madam Chair, I'll turn that back over to you.
Okay, that's a helpful rendering, Mr. Freeze. Okay, Mr. Cook, do you have anything else to add to this application?
Not at this time, unless anybody has any questions.
Okay, I'll open it up to questions from the board.
Yeah, I mean, the photograph is different than the site plan I'm seeing. So which one's correct?
The site plan that you're seeing would be correct. The rendering that Mr. Freeze put up a minute ago was an older sort of original overlay. So the original that we had has been modified. The site plan that you're seeing is accurate. The overlay is just to give you an idea. It is older and it's a little bit out of date, but it generally conveys how we're trying to lay out the building and the parking lot on the site in such a way to preserve as many trees as possible.
Okay. Did that answer your question, Ms. Maleka?
Yeah, that does. And was one of the variants about a sidewalk on the front?
Okay, so to be clear, even though there are no real perimeter sidewalks for any of the neighboring properties, we were originally interested in trying to preserve the look and feel of the neighborhood and get a variance on the perimeter, what we call the perimeter sidewalk, the sidewalks that would go run up, parallel with the street. But the cost was exorbitant. It would be like $400,000 to, pay for a variance to make that happen, because it's like $400 a linear square foot. So we are putting that perimeter sidewalk up. So there will be a perimeter sidewalk. I think we've constructed that in such a way, and working with the city, that there will be minimal, if any, trees removed to be able to put that on. And the request for the variance is for the requirement was for a sidewalk to be connecting the sidewalks immediately adjacent to the building to that perimeter sidewalk. That is the sidewalk we're requesting variance of.
Understood. That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Maleka, this is kind of an odd situation, because typically that's a provision for an established neighborhood with an existing sidewalk to connect the building to the sidewalk. But as Mr. Cook said, there is no sidewalk. This is a new build, so it would be a private sidewalk to nowhere. So it's kind of a ridiculous request, but unfortunately it's the code and we have to vary it or go by it.
Okay. Thank you. Ready to call a question?
Is there anybody here that wants to speak on this application before we vote? Okay, just calling. Okay, ready to call the question if there's no other questions from the board. Are you ready to call the question?
Let's call the question.
Okay. Question's been called. Please call the roll.
Mr. Demora?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah.
Mr. Malek?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer Bailey?
Yes, variance is granted. Good luck with the project.
Thank you very much.
Okay, 2551 Fisher Road. 2551 Fisher Road. Will the applicant please take yourself off of mute and state your name for the record?
Good afternoon, Chris Long, Deputy Administrator with the Franklin County Board of Commissioners, and also with me is Jeff Hirsch, the project landscape architect.
Okay, can you both raise your right hands? You swear that the testimony you give tonight is the truth, nothing but the truth. Please state, I do.
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Okay, the city will present the case, then we'll turn it back over to you, Ms. Long.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. BZA 20-123, 2551 Fisher Road is located on the south side of Fisher Road at the terminus of Saffin Road. The site is zoned M manufacturing. Michael, can you mute whoever that is? The site is within the West Idaho area.
I don't have the permit mute, but it's Mr. Demora.
Is it Bill?
Yep.
All right. All right. The site is being developed with a new Franklin County Correction Center. The applicant proposes the addition of surface parking, a surface parking lot containing 90 parking spaces. The code requires 1 parking lot shade tree per 10 parking spaces. Therefore, the applicant requests a variance to reduce the required number of parking lot shade trees from 9 to 0. Planning encourages street trees and/or additional landscaping to be placed elsewhere on the site to offset the requested reduction of required parking lot trees to align with Columbus citywide planning policies. The Division of Traffic Management requests a right-of-way dedication of 60 feet from the center line of Fisher Road, and the West Side Area Commission recommends approval of this request. City staff recommend approval as the applicant has agreed to the C2P2 recommendation to add trees and landscaping elsewhere on the site. The condition we're recommending is the site plan will be stamped to ensure landscaping and trees will be planted elsewhere. With that, Madam Chair, we'll turn it back over to you.
And Jamie, do you have that site plan that shows the landscaping already, or you need that?
I'm still waiting for that.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Long, are you prepared to provide a site plan that shows the additional landscaping on the property?
I will defer to Jeff Hirsch, please. Jeff?
Yes, we have the plan, and we'll send that to Jamie.
Okay, sounds great. Okay, do you have anything else to add about this application?
I don't. The only thing, actually, the only thing I would add is that the whole purpose for this request is that it is a correction center, and the unobstructed site view within the parking lot is why the movement of the trees was requested, but the same number of trees will be on the site.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody here that wants to speak about this application? Okay, does the board members have any other questions?
I'll call the question.
Question's been called. Please call the roll.
Mr. Jones? Yes. Mr. Maleka?
Yes.
Mr. Demora?
Yes.
Chair Palmer?
Yes, variance is granted. Good luck with the project.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Was case number 12 also tabled?
No.
Okay. 402 Junction Crossing Drive. 402 Junction Crossing Drive. Will the applicant take yourself off of mute? State your name for the record.
Can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay, Elizabeth Dinkins.
Okay, Ms. Dinkins, are you here alone to speak on this case?
Yes,
Okay. Do you swear that the testimony you give tonight with the truth, nothing but the truth? Please state I do.
I do.
Okay, we'll hear from the city first, then we'll come back to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 402 Junction Crossing Drive is located on the east side of Junction Crossing Drive at the terminus of Casado Drive, served by the Far East Area Commission. It is a planned unit development 8 district. The site is developed with a single unit dwelling located on the eastern perimeter of a single family residential development. To the east, beyond a platted reserve buffer, including power lines, is vacant industrial land. Nearly all the dwellings on this side of the street have similarly small wooden stoops with stairs. A few appear to have constructed larger decks similar to the proposal. The applicant proposes to replace the existing stairs on the rear of the house with a new 12 by 12 deck with stairs. The variance is to reduce the rear yard setback required by the PUD ordinance from 20 feet to 17 feet. Planning Division has no comment, as the Far East Land Use Plan and C2P2 do not specifically address the matter. And Division of Traffic have no comments. The Far East Area Commission recommended approval of the request, and city departments recommend approval, as the proposal appears to be minor, would not significantly impact the character of the neighborhood, and additionally, in consideration of its location along a natural buffer near vacant industrial land, it would not be detrimental to surrounding properties, and we recommend the site plan be stamped. Madam Chair.
Okay, Ms. Dinkins, do you have anything else to add about this application?
Nope.
Are you prepared to have this as the final site plan stamped for the record?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any other questions from the board?
I mean, there appears to be 2 electric easements back there. One's AEP, and then there's one that says just electric. What's the difference?
I believe they're both AEP because we had to seek approval from AEP to build the deck in the first place,
Okay.
which they did give us that approval.
Okay. No, I just think it's bizarre that there's two. So that's it. Thank you.
Is there anybody else here that wishes to speak about this application? Okay, hearing none, are we ready to call the question?
No, call it. No question.
Okay, question has been called. Please call the roll.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Demora?
Yes.
Mr. Maleka?
Yes.
Chair Palmer Bailey?
Yes, variance is granted. Good luck with the project.
Thank you.
Okay, 4216 Indianola Avenue. 4216 Indianola Avenue. Will the applicant please take yourself off of mute and update your name for the record?
Hi, my name is Kelly Hartshorn, and I am with my engineer team, Jennifer LaPointe, with the Klingers Group.
Okay, can you both raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you give tonight will be the truth, nothing but the truth? Please say I do.
I do.
And you, Ms. LaPointe? Yes. Okay, thank you. I will have the city present the case, then we'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 4216 Indianola Avenue is located on the east side of Indianola Avenue, approximately 80 feet south of Springs Drive, served by the Clintonville Area Commission. It's zone C4 commercial. The quarter-acre site is developed with a two-story, 1766 square foot office building and associated parking in the front and rear. A narrow 12-foot wide driveway leads from the front of the property to the rear. Surrounding uses include an apartment and three-unit dwelling to the west, an office building to the north, railroads to the east, and a small warehouse to the south. The applicant proposes to construct a 1776 square foot expansion in the front of the office building, thereby removing some parking spaces and planting 2 trees. Variances are to reduce the required driveway width from 20 feet to 12 feet, an existing condition, to reduce the number of parking spaces from 12 to 8, and to reduce the front setback along Indianola from 25 feet to 15 feet. The building setback variance is the result of the required right-of-way dedication of 10 feet. The Clintonville Neighborhood Plan states parking needs should be balanced with reducing development's impact on the natural environment, as well as creating walkable and bikeable neighborhoods. Planning staff note the bicycle parking as a mitigating factor for support of the proposed parking reduction. Staff also continue to encourage additional windows on the north elevation, but will not condition support on them. No comments from traffic, and Clintonville Area Commission recommended approval. Staff recommends approval. The proposal is consistent with area plan recommendations for mitigating parking reductions and creating more walkable and bikeable neighborhoods, as it provides additional bike parking and brings the establishment closer to the street. Madam Chair.
Okay. Mrs. Handsome, I'm not sure who's gonna speak first. I'll turn it over to you.
Sure, I can take it, Kelly. This is Jennifer LaPointe. I'm the agent for Kelly.
Okay, go ahead.
Sure. I'd just like to say we're here for any questions that you have. Kelly's the owner. If you have questions on the business and what she's looking to do, we were helpful on the site plan and getting to where we are today, but this is the final site plan. I would just like to add that, just like Phil said, I appreciate the report. The parking reduction is due to trying to add some green space in the corridor and in front of this building addition. That is something that was suggested through our site compliance review with the city as well. So we're here for questions that you might have.
Okay. Does the board members have any questions? Okay. Is there anybody here that wishes to speak about this application? Please take yourself off of mute. Okay, I see none. If there's no questions, are we ready to call the question?
Call the question.
Question has been called. Please call the roll.
Mr. Maleka,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yeah.
Mr. Demora,
Yes.
Chair Palmer Bailey.
Yes, variance is granted. Good luck with the project.
Thank you.
Okay, 243 East 3rd Avenue. 243 East 3rd Avenue. Will the applicant take yourself off mute and state your name for the record?
Good evening, members of the BZA. This is Faith Perry on behalf of this application. Carrick Sherrill, the project architect, is also on the meeting with me.
Okay. Will you, Mr. Perry and Mr. Sherrill, raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you give be the truth? Nothing but the truth? Please state I do.
I do.
Okay, we'll turn it over to the speaker, and then we'll hear it from you.
Mr. Perry, if you want to try call.
Could I get the name of the other person?
That person, now they're off my screen, Tony. Shoot. Oh, Carrick Sherrill.
Yep, he's on.
Do you see them, Tony?
I'm changing, hang on a second, I'm changing my view here so I can see who it is.
Tony, I'm going to type it to you.
Thank you. That's what I need is spelling stuff. Thank you.
All right, so this is BZA 20-129 at 243 East 3rd Avenue, located on the southeast corner of East 3rd Avenue and Peru Alley. This is within the Italian Village Commission, zoned R4. Site consists of an undeveloped parcel in an area primarily developed with single-unit dwellings, two-unit dwellings, and multi-unit dwellings. To the west are also commercial developments along North 4th Street. The applicant proposes to construct a single-unit dwelling. The proposed building would be comparable in square footage to the existing structures in the neighborhood. Variances are requested to lot coverage, side yard setbacks, and rear yard requirements. There was a maneuvering variance initially requested, but the site plan was altered prior to this meeting, and I think it would have been included in the original staff report, and so it's no longer necessary. There is no council adopted plan for this area. The planning division defers to the Italian Village Commission on matters of design. The Division of Traffic Management can support the proposal and notes that a maneuvering variance is no longer necessary. The Italian Village Commission has issued a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed dwelling and garage. To summarize, staff can recommend approval as the proposed dwelling and attached garage are consistent with development patterns of the surrounding neighborhood and with the Italian Village Design Review Guidelines. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Mr. Perry, I'll turn it over to you. Do you have anything else to add?
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Nothing further to add. We resolved there was a minor maneuvering variance that has been resolved with the traffic staff, and the other variances are minor yard and coverage variances typical of the area, so nothing further.
Okay. Board members, do we have any? Is there anybody here that was about this application? Okay, seeing none. Are we ready to
call the question?
Question's been called. Please call the roll.
Mr. Maleka?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Demore?
Yes.
Chair Palmer Bailey.
Yes, variance is granted. Please, good luck with the project. Okay. Next case. 1354 South 3rd Street. The applicant, please state your name for the record.
Chair Bailey, this is Dave Perry. I'm consulting on the application for Lorenz Holdings. John Lorenz is on the meeting, and Carrick Sherrill is also the project architect, and he is on the meeting.
Okay, are they planning on speaking or just you, Mr. Perry?
Probably primarily me, but I'd suggest swearing them also.
Okay, Mr. Lorenz, I've already sworn in Mr. Sherrill, so Mr. Lorenz, I'll swear you in. You raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you get tonight is nothing but the truth? Please say I do.
I do.
Great. Okay, go ahead with the city presentation, then we'll come back to you, Mr. Perry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 1354 South 3rd Street is located on the east side of South 3rd Street, approximately 95 feet north of East Neff Avenue, served by the Columbus Southside Area Commission. It's zoned R2F residential. The site is developed with a single unit dwelling and a detached 2-car garage on the alley. Surrounding uses include single unit dwellings to the west, north, east, and south, 2-unit dwellings to the north and south, and a parking lot to the east. The applicant proposes to split the lot into 3, thereby preserving the existing dwelling on lot A and constructing 2 single unit dwellings on lots B and C. Variances are to reduce the maneuvering area on lot B from 20 feet to 16, to reduce the number of required parking spaces for one of the lots, to reduce the lot widths for all 3 lots, to reduce the lot areas for all 3 lots, to allow 1 lot to front on an alley, to reduce the maximum side yards for 1 lot, to reduce minimum side yards for 2 lots, to reduce rear yard percentage for 2 lots. The total required maneuvering for lot B, as you can see on the site plan, would be provided through an easement on the adjacent lot, lot C. The south side plan recommends that new residential development should provide on-site open space whenever feasible. As such, Planning Division conditionally supports this proposal and would move to full support of the revised site plan on the condition a permeable paving system to mitigate the rear yard area paving that is provided. Staff continue to encourage revisions that allow for a porch and lawn for the alley house and further reduction in the rear paved area. The building elevations are consistent with Plan and C2P2 design guidelines. No comments from traffic, and Columbus Southside have recommended approval of the request. City departments recommend conditional approval. Building elevations are consistent with Plan and C2P2 guidelines, and the site layout is adequate in terms of providing on-site open space whenever feasible. The conditions are that the applicant commit to the stamped site plan and building elevations, that the applicant shall provide a permeable paving system for the rear yard areas on lots B and C as requested by planning, and the provision of a cross-access easement on lot C for lot B's parking maneuvering. Madam Chair.
Okay, Mr. Perry, are you in agreement with the conditions offered by the city?
Well, we would like to talk about the permeable paver condition, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. The application is, as stated by staff, the development is, as stated, to split a very large parcel to permit the existing single-family dwelling to be on its own parcel and then create two new sites for single-family dwellings. It's been enthusiastically supported by the area commission, and the zoning city and zoning staff has supported the variances throughout the process. The condition on the site plan and building elevations and the grant of an easement are fine. The easement would have to be granted anyway to sell the two houses. So we get down to the permeable paver. Now, when the application was submitted, whoever's controlling the screen, would you put the site plan back up, please? Okay, when the application was submitted, area B, the new house on the lower left, had more pavement. And it was designed that way to provide an ease of getting into the garage from the alley and turning a vehicle around and exiting from the property in a forward motion, as the zoning code requires. The zoning code requires vehicles to enter and exit in a forward motion. So there was some discussion with the planning staff about reducing pavement. And I said, okay, what do you have in mind? And it came back with substantially reduced pavement for B. And the discussion was, well, access to B can be done by turning in the 20-foot city alley and backing in, which is 80 feet to the garage, or backing out of the garage off of B through a 10-foot driveway by the proposed house on C and backing into the alley. And that seemed rather impractical. Not to mention perhaps challenging for some of us to back in and out 80 feet. So we looked at reducing the pavement as much as possible. And the site plan before you reflects areas where the architect was able to take out pavement. So we've made an effort to reduce the pavement, and then the request came up for permeable pavers. And we had already offered you'll notice the driveway in from the alley has the grass strips in the center. I believe it's called a Hollywood driveway, and reduces some of the pavement. But the request is to do all of the pavement in permeable pavers as a condition of this application. And that standard, so to speak, is very unusual for this area and is approximately a $7,000 add-on for this project. So we would ask the board to consider not having that condition. The other conditions are fine. And so we request to move forward without the permeable paver condition. That was not requested by the area commission or any other body until recently by the planning staff.
And so your concession is to put what there instead of?
Well, the Mr. Bennett, can you enlarge the screen a bit?
I don't think so. Sorry.
You don't think so? Okay. Well, Chair Bailey on the, yeah, there we go.
Actually,
okay, so
was I able to do that?
Yeah, it's much larger on my screen.
Yep, it is.
Okay, so the alley entrance to the property is at the right of the screen, members of the board. And we have the driveway coming in from the alley. You'll see the area marked drivable planting. That is not pavement. It is hardy ground cover, hardy plant material to reduce those large rectangles of pavement. And the tire tracks are paved, of course.
Okay.
And then we reduced, looking to the left, where the garage for the house. Yep, thank you. The garage fronting South Third, coming off the garage, the areas on to the right of the garage on both sides were reduced in pavement, but as an effort to work with the planning staff on the pavement issue. But it's very important that, I mean, just for safety, it's very important that a vehicle be able to enter and exit in a forward motion. Carrick has provided turnouts for those vehicles backing out of the garage to turn around and exit on the driveway. But we're just, we've we've worked to reduce the pavement. We're doing the plant material strips in the driveway, but it's an expensive add-on without precedent in the area to do the whole pavement in permeable pavers.
And so
Can you show?
yeah, I guess I'm clear. What's shaded, are you saying that's still gonna be pavement?
I can't control the screen. Mr. Bennett, maybe would you move your cursor around the area that will be paved? Yeah. Okay, and then the hatched area, members of the board, is reflecting the easement to be granted. And then the rectangles within the hatched area is plant material, not pavement, to have less pavement.
Okay. Mr. Jones, you have a question?
I have a question. I have more of a statement. If you can answer it, that's fine. But I recognize that there's no precedent, but there's no precedent really for the extent of what you're doing on this lot. I know that it's become very popular now, and I'm very supportive of it because it supports density. But I'm not real clear on the alternative that you're presenting, and I need to see it. Otherwise, I'm not going to accept removing it.
Well, the development is exactly what is on the screen, Mr. Jones. I mean, with or without permeable pavers, that's the development. The question is the value of adding permeable pavers at a substantial cost. And may I ask, Carrick, would you jump in on the maintenance of permeable pavers and some of the ramifications of this also, please?
To be clear, Mr. Perry, I visually see what you're proposing. I'm not clear on that. I understand what the city's proposing, and it makes sense. You're asking for us to relieve you from that request, and that means I need to see what you're planning. I'm not seeing the tangible. I'm seeing a draft.
No.
I want to see what you're referring to.
Okay, what's on the screen is what will happen with or without permeable pavers. The house location, the driveway location, the maneuvering area for the garage, everything you see on the screen will happen either way. The planning staff request for permeable pavers is a different driveway surfacing and system than pavement without it being permeable, but visually it is the same. What you are seeing on the screen will be the case either way.
So maybe I'm not clear. Is the city requesting the maneuvering area and the area behind the garage to be permeable pavers, or the driveway? Maybe.
So, Mr. Jones, the whole area that is grayed out, including the hatched area, is requested to be permeable. But what is currently proposed is just for that to be regular pavement. But the request is for the whole grade area to be permeable. Does that make sense?
I think so. So we're not talking about a driveway and strip. We're talking about the area where you would drive and maneuver, and you want that
all the pavement.
Permeable. Yeah, okay. I understand better now.
The pavement will be the same regardless of the version, with or without permeable pavers. There will be pavement, of course, for driveway and maneuvering area. We have committed to the planting strips in the driveway where the tire tracks would be paved, but not the center. The only difference is whether water percolates through the pavement or not.
So the question I have for city is this a visual request, or does this something have to do with runoff?
So this is something that the Division of Traffic Management can sign off on. So in the requirements for surface of parking lots, including maneuvering circulation areas. We request hard surface, but they also can approve permeable pavement. And so planning is requesting that pavement that is otherwise required to just be hard surface can be special permeable. That's something that traffic management encourages and planning is referring to.
If I can
So
help,
almost like a
Sheriff Bailey, it
paver.
just yeah, it just allows water to flow easier in the ground. I mean, we're not having a stance on what's proposed, but yeah, the pavement is going to look exactly the same whether it's permeable or not. It just allows for a different flow rate, more close to the grass. But that's all.
It's environmental, basically.
Yeah, it's like a environment. The runoff curve number is higher, so yeah.
There's no.
And it makes.
Sorry.
It makes a lot of sense. And Mr. Perry, again, I support the density that you're creating here. It makes a lot of sense. And I think the driveway or the paved area, I'm going to be doing it for myself exclusively for a property for maneuverability. It's a small price to pay in the grand scheme of things, I think, for getting the overall project completed. And it just makes sense for the environment. It looks like you're seeking to achieve that with the driveway area that you're creating, and support the environmental needs. But because of cost, you're saying I don't want to do it in this other area, and that to me is not a legitimate reason for us waiving that.
Very good. We'll proceed with the condition.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we have any other discussion points to clarify on this?
No, that was the only point of discussion on this. It's been supported on every other point.
Okay. Is there anybody here that needs to speak on this application, that wants to speak on this application? Please unmute yourself. Okay. Does any other board members have questions for the applicant?
I'll call the question.
Question has been called. Please call the roll.
So the question is with the pavement or without? Because I missed that part. Sorry.
So the conditions were accepted, which means that they will put a permeable pavement in the area.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Please call the roll.
Mr. Malacca? Mr. Malacca?
Yes.
Mr. Demara?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Chair Palmer Bailey?
Yes, variance is granted. Good luck with the project.
Very good. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Okay, last case, 5677 Allshire Road. Will the applicant take yourself off of mute? State your name for the record, please.
Good morning. Good afternoon, Madam Chairperson. It's dark out. Hi. Gonna turn on some lights. I've been listening diligently.
Okay.
Laura Comack here on behalf of the applicant, ASPCA.
And are you here by yourself to speak on this case?
Actually, no. Bob Hasselbach has been also diligently hanging on and getting he's down there. So just in case we need him.
Okay, can you both raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you give tonight will be the truth, nothing but the truth? Please say I do.
So help me God, I do.
I do.
Okay, thank you. The city will present the case first, and then we'll turn it back over to you, Mrs. Comack.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 5677 Allshire Road is located on the south side of Allshire Road, approximately 675 feet west of Scarborough Boulevard, served by the Far East Area Commission and zoned M manufacturing. The 7.2 acre site is developed with 112,000 square foot former light manufacturing building and associated parking areas. There are currently 45 car spaces and 13 truck spaces. There is landscaping along the perimeter, including mature trees and bounding, providing some screening in the front of the building. surrounding uses include a tennis club, barn, and courts to the west, a commercial warehouse to the north, and an auto sales and service center to the east and south. Beyond the car dealership overflow lot to the south is an apartment complex. The applicant proposes a change of use to an animal kennel with medical care for animals. The applicant also proposes to modify and add on-site parking, removing truck spaces and increasing car spaces to 64. Outdoor dog runs are proposed to the rear, side, and front using 6-foot-tall PVC acoustic fencing, as seen on the screen. A special permit is required to allow the use of the animal kennel. The Far East Land Use Plan recommends this location for employment center, which staff has determined is sufficiently compatible with the proposal to warrant support. Additionally, the proposed acoustic fencing is consistent with C2P2 design guidelines. From traffic management, due to the nature of the use and no directly applicable zoning code requirement for parking, the evidence presented by the applicant regarding the requirements of the site, as well as the lack of nearby on-street parking that could be impacted by any excess demand at the site, the Division of Parking Services grants the appeal for exemption from the parking study requirement and supports the applicant's request for the variance. The Far East Area Commission recommended approval of the request, and city departments recommend approval, as it is compatible with the general intent of the zoning district and the area plan's intended use for the location. Furthermore, it's consistent with C2P2 design guidelines for screening. Madam Chair.
Okay, Mrs. Comack.
I just have one quick clarification, because we worked with the parking czar to change the calculation because dogs don't drive. And so like that original number was outrageous, as if dogs did drive. So Phil, I don't have a parking variance anymore, right? Okay, I just thought it's correct. The support for the variance. So there's no more parking variance. I really don't. I submitted a PDF for the file today, which just shows a number of these pictures and the justification around a few things. But the outdoor areas do not encroach into any building setback. They do have the A++ best practice of the sound walls. And so I think we have a nice little project together. No concerns or complaints in any regard so far. So I answer any questions you have.
Okay, is there anybody here that wishes to speak about this application? Okay, board members, do we have any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, are we ready?
Question.
Questions in the call, please call the roll.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Maleka?
Yes.
Mr. Demore?
Yes. Aloha.
Mahalo.
Chair Palmer? Chair Palmer Bailey?
Yes, variance is granted. Good luck with the project.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so this concludes our February meeting.
Have fun, Bill.
I'm going on a sunset cruise tonight.
I don't want to hear it.
Bill, are you in Hawaii for real?
Yes, I'm in Hawaii. I'm on Maui. Yes.
Ridiculous.
I cannot.
Yeah. Don't even talk to him.
I know.
Sorry.
Well, thank you for your diligence in getting on the call.
Absolutely, especially when another member said he wasn't going to be on. I couldn't not do my duty.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Okay,
so, I'll see you guys next week, next month.
I'll see you guys next month.
All right.
Bye.
Michael Jones, you have something to say?
Oh, board members, are you there?
Yes.
David, I was hoping you guys could stay on for 1 minute. Bill, obviously you're in Hawaii, you can go if you want. But I want to discuss the Wolverhampton case.
You want to discuss what?
The Wolverhampton case, the parking behind the setback.
Okay.
Phil, can you bring that case up really quickly on the PowerPoint? I just want to explain exactly what is going on.
Jamie, do you want this on the record?
Well, I think it has to be because we haven't actually concluded, but.
Okay.
You don't have.
I did conclude. Do you want us to not conclude?
Well, no. I mean, I just want to clarify what happened. As far as Tony's concerned, he doesn't have to, type it out.
Oh, there's an echo. I can't hear.
So too much feedback.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so the picture we're looking at right now, this is a single-family dwelling with a single-car garage. By right, they are allowed to have one stacked parking space. Okay, what their plan now is to do, looks like they've already done it illegally, but they've added a parking space here. By converting this to residential, to living space, they then have to, it negates their allowed stacking. So that essentially allowed 2 parking spaces in this front area. If they were to only keep this one car here, they'd need a parking variance to reduce it from 2 to 1. They'd lose their nonconformity. So when Michael Jones was making a point that, by having this car here, essentially I should have jumped in and said, well, actually there's going to be 2 cars here, which is, I think, why he was concerned for the safety, but also for aesthetics. That's another reason why we in zoning in the past have always denied these or recommended disapproval. I don't know if planning was clear on what the actual proposal was, so that will be on us in the future to clarify what exactly it is. Just because it's a parking setback reduction doesn't mean it's just, oh, well, they've got plenty more maneuvering, it's a technicality. It's kind of a big deal, and I think we're going to see a lot of these conversions of garages into living space, which will bring this kind of situation into our purview.
So I guess I'm a little confused too, because I thought that something was triggered because they converted it to living space. And so that's
Exactly
why
right.
that's why you were recommending approval.
Well, again, Phil, go back to that last slide.
Because let me just finish this. Because in other cases, we have not had them convert it to living space. They just want to have another parking space. And we're
Right.
saying, well, no, you have a garage.
Correct. Well, that's what those other, usually the parking space is over on the right side of that car. This time it has to be on the left. And you are right, there is a distinction between someone just adding parking and not converting living space. But in this case, because this garage, where Phil has his cursor, is currently an allowed parking space, they are allowed by right to stack behind it. Anywhere else in the city, you would not be allowed to do that. Because where the garage is where the building line is, which establishes the parking setback line. Now, since they're converting that into living space, basically they're allowing 2 cars to be parked behind that setback line. So I'm not trying to fault anybody for voting yes or change your mind in the future. I just want to be clear on what the proposal is, because I think, shame on me for being the manager. I should have clarified that with Phil, with planning, and you guys, but just kind of got hectic around here lately, and this got swept under, swept under the radar.
So tell me again, if it's not a garage, then you're not allowed to park in front of your house. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. If you've got 2 legal parking spaces, if you have a 2-car garage, you are technically not allowed to park in your driveway because the parking setback line is established by the garage. But if you've got a 1-car garage, there's an exception that says you're allowed to stack.
What?
Stack as I'm dead serious. Yeah.
Been the case, Ellen.
Huh?
That is rarely enforced, but that is the zoning code.
I can't hear you, Michael Jones.
That's always been the case, which is why I brought it up. Normally what we're looking at is a driveway like yours at home where you could effectively put 4 cars.
Right, but you're saying that I can't put 4 cars because you're saying that if I have a 2-car garage, I can't park in my driveway.
That's correct. You're not technically allowed to park in your driveway with 2-car garage.
That makes no sense.
That makes no sense.
Well, it does because the garage establishes a parking setback line. And the driveway is supposed to be for maneuvering only. We've given exception to a 1-car garage because we require 2 parking spaces.
Okay, so what is it now if they have no garage? So we've got 1 car and 2 car. What about no car? That's what we voted on. That's why I was confused.
Well, if you don't have a garage, then you don't have a driveway. And typically you park in the back off an alley.
So to be clear, Jamie, so I can be certain what I'm saying to Eleanor, he has a driveway with a 2-car garage. And effectively, if I remember correctly, you could safely park 4 cars on her asphalt driveway. But what's really allowed is only 2 cars for the stacking.
No, that's not quite true. So I've been to Eleanor's house to deliver a packet, and I've seen her driveway. She can park 2 cars legally in the garage, but nothing behind the garage door, nothing on the driveway. You're correct. Yeah, you can legally park in there, not legally, not zoning-wise. But no one's ever going to enforce that.
Yeah, because I park there all the time.
I know, I've seen it. Everybody does it. You're right. You're right. And it's not really an enforceable, or it's not enforceable because you can always move it, but it's that, I mean, that's why I'm pointing this out right now.
Jamie?
Yeah.
You're talking about required parking spaces, not stacking, right? So stacking is allowed. So you're talking about where the space is.
It kind of goes hand in hand. So 2 spaces are required for every dwelling. So right now, if this dwelling was to be constructed in the
Somebody's
city,
got feedback. I
variance.
cannot hear. There's a lisp going on.
All right. Okay, how about now? Okay, so again, to be clear, if this dwelling were to be constructed today, they would need a variance to reduce the number of parking spaces from 2 to 1. Or they'd have to get a maneuvering variance to allow the stacking.
Okay, wait, let me say what I think I'm hearing you say. Every dwelling has to have 2 parking spaces. If you have a 2-car garage, you have 2 spaces in your garage. If you have a 1-car garage, your 2 spaces are the garage space and the stacking behind it. Okay.
Yes, 100% correct.
Now, if they don't have a garage, back to Bill's question, we understand 2-car, 1-car. Now, what happens when you have a 0-car garage? Where are you allowed to park? On the street?
Well, yeah, correct. Because if you don't have a garage, you don't have a driveway.
But they do have a driveway because it's existing.
Well, it's a driveway that leads to a garage.
So it's a driveway that's not laid to a garage. That means that it's not available for parking?
Well, typically you wouldn't be allowed to build a house without a front-loaded garage and then put in a driveway. A driveway is an access corridor that leads to a legal parking space. So if this house was set back 50 feet and they wanted a parking space, at the 35-foot spot, yeah, that'd be fine.
So this is not considered a driveway anymore. It's just considered a paved way.
Yes, now it's considered a parking lot, a 2-car parking space area.
And
parking
that's
lot,
so what we're saying is that the code would allow that to be happening, or no?
No, it wouldn't.
And so we just allowed it.
You just allowed it.
Yeah, we just allowed it. Which, I mean...
Yeah, see, I voted for it because I thought the opposite was the case. So that was the whole problem.
I did too.
Right, and that's why I want to clarify now. I mean, I should have done it during the meeting, but I just didn't, there's so much feedback, I don't want to confuse anybody. Figured now would be the better time when it comes up in the future.
Well, but now we did this. So Mike is correct. I mean, I assumed that because they were putting the house up that we were allowed to do this and not setting any precedents. I mean, that's why I did it. So I'm sorry, Mike, that I should have just voted no with you because I just thought this was a different thing than what we normally did, like you pointed out, because now there's no garage.
Right.
Right.
So if we had pressed...
Sorry, go ahead.
So why did this come to us with approval from staff?
From planning? I don't think planning fully understood what was going on either. And I'm surprised transportation would allow this. They probably looked at it, Michael had a good point that there may be a safety issue, and transportation usually goes out there and they check these things out, and maybe there wasn't. I personally think there is. but they seem to be okay with it. Planning, I don't think fully grasped what their variance request was for.
So,
and usually they're all about aesthetics, but normally not allow this.
If we had
The
planning
alternative,
on this,
but the alternative would be for them to park on the street, right?
Well, the alternative would be not to allow it.
Which would mean they have to park on the street.
So I'm saying if you didn't allow the parking setback, they couldn't convert the garage to living space. They'd be stuck.
Oh, so you're saying that we would, oh, okay, so we would disallow them from, well, no, because I guess you can't tell a person what to do with their property, right? You just say, if you do that, then you
Well,
can't
technically
have.
you can, because you're taking a legal parking space, the garage, and converting that to living space. You just violated the zoning. We can.
so I do want to provide one thought. If we had pressed planning on, you know, why they were supporting the pavement and the parking spaces in this location, and we didn't press them because they were in approval. But if we had, they might have pointed out that this is a different situation from those expanded driveway situations. In those cases, there was still parking spaces in the garage, whereas here, since it's being converted to living space, maybe they saw it different in that way, and it didn't catch their attention. But yeah, we did not press them on that, you know, when they came back from staff review.
Right, and that's something that maybe we should do in the future, not just take everything they say blindly. Well, you know, we can we have the ability to challenge and clarify, which I think we should start doing now.
Yeah, because I vividly remember that case of that lady who came to us. I mean, it might have been 3 times, and you know, saying she could
On
not
East North
park.
Broadway, yeah.
Yeah, and we denied it. We denied her. And so
if you're talking about on East North Broadway, we gave her options.
we gave her options, but we told her she could not park in front of it. We just told her she could maneuver.
You could use it as a turnaround. Yeah, you're right. She didn't want.
And so I thought this case was different because they were making the garage into a livable space, which was different from the scenario that she presented.
Right, and I'm not saying anything's wrong or that you voted the wrong way because of how you feel. I just want to clarify the exact situation that's going on so that now maybe you can, if this comes back in the future, you can look at it a little bit differently or with more scrutiny.
And guys, I'll be honest with you. I try to say things to give you perspective, and I don't say it just to be opinionated. And I'll just bring this up last month with that case with the concrete factory or whatever it is. You know, I kept pushing like, well, nobody came in 17 years. And Eleanor, I don't know if you remember, and I brought it up to Jamie after the meeting, we had 2 feuding salvage yards that had been in operation since the 1970s, I believe. And that stuff didn't come up until you and I have been on the board because, again, they tell on one another. So that's when the city got involved. Then we looked at some historic things that took place, you know, over the past 30 years. Or 30 or 40 years maybe. And I don't just bring this stuff up lightly. I bring it up because I remember the cases. And so I feel like we might have had a miscarriage of justice in that case because, again, it wasn't the city not having an issue with it. And that guy had so many holes in his story about what he had, and Michael couldn't find any evidence of it. I mean, it was just too many holes for us to just let that go like that. So just know that I don't bring things up lightly. I bring them up because where there's smoke, oftentimes there's fire. And I'm just trying to bring it to the surface.
I can clarify that the pile height thing, it turns out pile heights are determined, if it's not junk and salvage, by the height district. And the height district for that piece of property is 200 feet. So theoretically, if they had clean fill, sand or whatever, not salvaged asphalt, they could pile it 200 feet high, apparently.
Okay. And so again, we're learning that from you. You know what I mean? You didn't know that. We didn't have all the facts.
Well, that was a different thing he brought that was kind of outside the realm of the case, and then we got kind of hung up on it.
Well, I don't think it was outside the realm. I mean, at issue were the pile heights.
So what you're saying though is they were actually correct that they could have it piled up that high.
Well, no, because it's salvage.
No, they're not salvage. I'm talking about the one in Westerville that took 5.5 hours. So I must be on the wrong one. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's the one we're talking about.
But that's not a salvage yard. They have sand, rock, and they had sand, rocks, and whatever it was.
Recycling, wasn't it?
Recycling, yeah, which is just those three things together. It's not a salvage like a junkyard.
It does fall under the definition of salvage though, because it's repurposed.
The wrap material is considered, if it was just sand or gravel or it's not considered salvage. So that would go out to be 200 feet tall.
Gotcha. Okay, well.
Okay, well, hey, we've kept you guys too long, especially Bill. Bill's got to go get a suntan.
Yeah, I'll see you guys later.
All right, thank you very much for staying on the phone.
Yeah.
Bill, Michael, just about 2 more minutes. You can go too.
Thank you, guys.
All right, have a good night. We'll see you next month.
See ya.
All right, bye.
So we will check back with planning, Jamie, and kind of ask the question around expanded driveways, basically.
Yeah, because I think the reason I'm kind of keen on this is I've got another case that I think is going to be coming in for, is that the one I sent you? Did I